Hello and welcome. And today we are going to do our Showball, the pathway to the baseball via the academic pathway with regard to college athletics. And we are going to be talking with Bruce Larkin, President, CEO, Chief Guru at Showball Baseball. And we are now going to be talking with the head coach at Holy Cross College in Worcester, Massachusetts, two-time Patriot League champion, as well as regional participant this past season at the Austin Regional, Ed Kahovec. And Eddie, it is always great to get to talk to you, sir, and catch up a little bit. Thank you both for joining me today.
Great to see you, Walter. Great to see you, Bruce.
You know, Eddie, I want to start real quick before Bruce jumps in because I'm really proud of this accomplishment for the city of Worcester. But talk a little bit about this year, this past playing season. You kind of had a bullseye on your back. You know, the year prior, you had won the Patriot League. You had gone to the regional. You had a pretty good nucleus returning with the Patriot Player of the Year, good pitching staff. What was it like this year? Instead of being the hunter, you were the hunted. How did that go for you in the squad this season?
Yeah, it was definitely different. You know, one piece of the messaging that we wanted from day one was we're not defending anything. It's a brand new team. You know, we closed the chapter on the 2025 season when we got home from the Chapel Hill Regional, and we were looking forward to the 2026 campaign. And it was really important to me that the guys didn't feel like they were defending anything, especially because we did have so many new faces in the lineup. We want to be in that attack-oriented mindset from day one. So our guys were just focused on attacking. While we did return Patriot League Player of the Year, C.J. Eggery, and Patriot League Pitcher of the Year, Jaden Waiwoda, we had to replace our entire infield, all of whom graduated, and some pieces in our outfield, as well as an 8th-round junior draft pick with Danny Macchiarola, our closer, and Luke Lamont. So we had some pretty big holes to fill where, we had 6 everyday players in our batting order that had to be replaced. So it was a lot of new faces, a couple really good familiar ones, but with so many new faces, I think it was really important to have that mindset. This is a new experience for them. It was very much an attack-oriented mindset. So it was different. Definitely had the target on our back. We were picked preseason number 1 for the first time in quite some time. So, but our guys, we try to ignore the noise as best we can and just focus on the process and live every day, practice by practice and pitch by pitch. And I think our guys did a great job of that.
And, Eddie, to that point, one thing that I've come to learn about you is there's a quiet humbleness about you, but confident. You believe in everything. What's one aspect of coaching that you think you bring every single day that separates you from other coaches across the country?
Man, good question. I don't know if it separates me. I just try to be the most authentic version of myself every single day. Try to be as consistent as possible for our student athletes and our players so that they know what they're getting. So I think making sure that and I say we're because it's not just me, it's the entire coaching staff, but making sure that we are ultra prepared to answer any questions that our guys may have. And when we don't have the answers, it's okay to say, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out together. So I think with our team, it's very much a collaborative conversation between players and coaches. And it seems to me like we've really struck that balance between kind of that sweet spot of, yeah, man, like this is the way we're doing things. This is how we do it. But also we have a lot of trust in our players that they're going to do the right thing more often than not. So I think we really have found that balance of, coach-led and player-led merging into one.
Eddie, a lot of times when parents, particularly those parents that have a academic-minded and grounded student athlete, one of the questions I always get asked about with regard to showcases, particularly, obviously, Showball, when you are at these events, obviously the academic piece is in front of you in some capacity with regard to transcript or at least a GPA and outline of what makes a fit at Holy Cross. When you're out looking at all of these athletes, what are you looking for specifically at a Showball event that might capture your attention and say, okay, that's somebody I have to follow, I need to speak with?
Yeah, it's an all-encompassing, to me, it's more of an art than, a formula. Sometimes it's metrics, of course, that they do a great job collecting and passing on to coaches, and we're able to see those metrics. day one, which, okay, this guy's going to, I kind of liked him in that defensive showcase in his hitting segment. Now I have the numbers to match it. Now let's see how he does in gameplay. So that for me is definitely a piece of it. At the same time, sometimes it's just, I see something that I like, in the infield, arm strength. In the outfield, arm strength isn't quite as important for our program, right? So for other teams, they might say, hey, if he's not a 90 arm in the outfield, he's out. That's not the case for us. So every program's going to be case by case different. But for us, it's the way that they play, the way they carry themselves. As you alluded to, the academics kind of take care of themselves just by being at a place, a showcase like Showball. And then it's, how do they play? And then the big piece, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The big piece of identifying fit, because there are thousands of great players across the country, hundreds of whom are great players and can get into Holy Cross and have an interest, and we have at least an interest back. What really separates guys is when we get on the phone with them and have conversations with them. And I think one thing that really sets our guys apart is we're looking for that unique individual who says, Coach, academics are number one and baseball's number one. One does not take a backseat to the other. Of course, from that 30,000-foot vantage point, from that macro point of view, you're looking at a place like Holy Cross because academics are the driving force. But from that micro, that day-to-day, the only way we win championships is if we have that unique individual who says, hey, I can be great at both. I have the ability to be great at both. And more importantly, the desire to be great at both. Are you going to apply yourself without excuse to be great in the classroom and on the field? So we try our best to identify those guys. And to be honest with you, Walter, we almost, we try to scare guys away a little bit in terms of how much baseball they're going to be playing, because we need gym rats. We need cage rats. We need guys who want to compete at the highest level, play the comprehensive Division I schedule. So we actually try to scare some guys away where it's like, hey, man, maybe that conference or that division or that other program is a better fit for you based on what you're looking for. Here's what it takes to be a champion here. Are you willing to answer the bell in the pursuit of excellence to become a champion?
That's awesome. For me, looking at it, I always talk about the weight room is a key part of recruitment once you get there, and then development throughout. To a player, to a parent that's listening to this, what's one thing that you can encourage them to do on a daily basis to get better, to be seen and be recruited by Holy Cross?
Commit to the weight room. Hit the nail on the head, Bruce. That's one thing. At Showball, we have conversations. Guys ask, hey, where can I get better? What can I do better? The fact of the matter is, even with guys on our own team, like I know guys are going to hit. Hitting's fun, right? They're going to get in the cages on their own. They're going to do those types of things. So that's a prerequisite already. Work on the defensive part of your game, which is a little bit more difficult to do because you need someone to hit your fungos. You need to get a machine set up. You need to get those reps in. So work on the things that are not easy to work on. Everyone can get in a cage. These days there's facilities everywhere. There's cages. Everyone can hit. Continue to hit, of course, but work on the defensive part of your game and commit to the weight room, whatever that looks like. Talk to your baseball coach. Talk to a strength coach at your school if you have one. If neither of those guys have a background, go find a football coach in your school and talk and find a strength program. Do something. I'm not going to tell you what to do because everyone's different, and even our incoming guys is, hey, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Once you get under our roof, that's when we'll start to tailor it to your individual needs. But find a way to commit to the weight room. It is an absolute game changer. That's what I tell everybody, even the guys who already look like they are. Stay with it. Take the next step. It is just such a game changer, not only for strength, but overall mobility, athletic ability. That's where guys can, in my opinion, make the biggest jump. So I tell everyone at the high school level, if you're not committed to the weight room, get committed. And if you are, take it to another level.
That's a big exclamation point. That is something I think most parents neglect. And on that subject, oftentimes we speak about the metrics and the analytics. And during the recruiting process, a lot of parents are intimidated and they chase. And so when they're at a Showball event, they look out, they see all these coaches, and they see all the athletes. Talk a little bit about the recruiting process and some tips that you might want to provide for parents to kind of settle them down. Maybe there's some mistakes they can avoid, in your opinion, as far as timelines are concerned. Speak to the parents and maybe, Eddie, give them some insight of what the timelines in today's world of college baseball recruiting really look like? Meaning freshmen and sophomores, really, maybe they're being followed, but they're not being recruited. Talk a little bit about parents' peace of mind as far as timelines and things they can avoid that will make the recruiting process a little bit smoother.
Great question. First of all, parents and student athletes watching this, inhale and exhale. Breathe. Just breathe. It's all going to work out one way or another. You may face some adversity along the way. So be it. It wasn't meant to be. Look for the next opportunity. It will work out however it is supposed to work out. You're doing the right things. Just by watching this podcast, by attending events like Showball, trust that you are doing the right things. You will not be overlooked. And if you feel like you are, then find an opportunity where you can go prove people wrong. Now, with the timeline, everyone's going to be a little bit different. I'll speak specifically to us. 2027s, we are hot and heavy with 2027s. We are graduating 13 seniors. We are this year. We are looking to bring in 14 to replace those 13 in the 2027 class. No transfers, all high school kids, okay? Of those 14 guys we're looking to bring in, we have 2 commits. That's it, 2 commits, 12 to go. It's early July, okay? We are going to be patient and diligent with our process because the right fit is paramount. Not only for us to identify the right fit for you, but you need to identify the right fit from a college standpoint as well. We have guys on campus, and after our visit, we may determine that they're not the right fit, and or they may determine we're not the right fit for them. That's okay. Everybody who sits in my office, I tell them my goal is not for you to commit to Holy Cross, okay? My goal is for you to find a place that you're as passionate about as I am about Holy Cross. And if it's somewhere else and I bleed purple and you want to bleed black and orange, awesome, man. I hope you find that place that you're as fired up about as I am here. Because in this day and age with the transfer portal and everything else, fit. Not chasing Division I, not the whatever school is going to look really cool, your first winter home, going to the basketball game to wear across your chest. Find the place that feels like the best fit. It may not check every single box. It's really hard to find a place that's going to check 100% of the boxes, but you'll know in your heart of hearts, you'll know in your gut, and you'll be able to check most of those boxes, and you'll find a place that you feel like is the best fit. Now, there will also be places you feel like is the best fit, and that feeling is not reciprocated. That's okay. Then it's no longer the best fit. There has to be mutual interest, and that's a huge part of it as well. So be it. There are tons of colleges out there. On to the next one. From a timeline standpoint, 2028s, okay, the rising juniors, we are collecting names. That's it. We are collecting names, hopeful to get some guys to our clinics. But we are right now, the way we operate, we like to see guys as, number one, a more complete academic picture after their junior year for admissions. And number two, a more complete picture of who they are going to be versus committing someone very early. Maybe they don't commit to that weight room. We like to think that they would if we commit them early. But if they don't, all of a sudden, I'm never going to cut guys loose. I'm never going to decommit guys ever. I promise you that. So we want to make sure that we're not committing guys early and then putting myself in that tough situation. We have the whole nation to work with because of the academic profile of the school, because of the athletic success that we've had. So we feel really comfortable. Like, I'm not sweating at all. I got to find 12 guys between now and the early decision deadline. We're good. We're going to find our 12 guys, and we're going to bring in a really solid class. So for us, we're patient. You can afford to be patient as well. It may not always work out perfectly, but find the fit to the best of your ability.
Eddie, when you answered that question, you said it with so much confidence, and that's what I was referring to earlier. Like, you're a humble guy, but you believe in what you believe in, and you are very authentic to that. One of the things I like that you bring to Showball is the energy level that you bring when we break off into instructs, and you take the infielders, you take that over, and it's a clinic. You truly put on a little clinic for the players and everything. What is your favorite aspect of coaching? Is it recruiting? Is it the infield? Is it hitting? Is it the execution? What's your favorite aspect of coaching?
Yeah, I love college baseball because I love the holistic approach of it all. I love all of it. I love the relationship with the players. I get coffee with each individual on our team at least once a semester, and it's not baseball. It's just checking in. I love developing relationships with the guys on our team. I love recruiting. I love getting on the road. I love communicating with players and student athletes and potential student athletes and identifying, if it's a mutual fit. On the field specifically, Infield play is my passion. So my on-field responsibilities, I'm the head coach, so I oversee everything. But my ones that I kind of, take control of are infield play, base running, and our team defense. So, and I'll dabble with the hitters a little bit, but those are the three big on-field things, and then all the hats that I wear as a head coach. But, in terms of like the baseball specific things, it's that infield play, base running, team defense. Recruiting, absolutely love. I love being on the road. I love seeing players from all over the country. And then, of course, the biggest one is just being able to develop relationships with our guys.
Eddie, a lot of times when I'm speaking with parents, particularly if I'm at a Showball event, the discussion tends to go down the transcript pathway. And a lot of parents will ask, what is a pre-read? When does a pre-read occur? What kind of classes should my athlete take? Those types of topics, especially of the rising junior class. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about you mentioned early decision process. Talk a little bit about that pre-read process. What does it entail with your admissions office, and how does that give you the green, yellow, or red light with regard to recruiting?
Sure. So we look for, I'll start with, if you're a rising junior, when in doubt, if you have the opportunity, challenge yourself. I'd rather see a 3.6 in an AP course than a 4.0 in a non-AP course. So challenge yourself. Rigor of schedule is a huge box that we look to check from an admissibility standpoint. So when in doubt, challenge yourself. And that works great because that's the philosophy from a school standpoint. It's our philosophy. That's one of the beautiful things about our situation at Holy Cross is, the school's philosophy, there's a ton of vertical alignment with our baseball program. We want individuals who want to challenge themselves. That extends to the classroom, of course. So challenge yourself with courses. Don't take an easy schedule. Challenge yourself. Continue to challenge yourself into your senior year as well, because that's going to set you up for success your freshman year. You take your foot off the gas. You're not going to be, all of a sudden inadmissible, but all of a sudden you might have to kick it into another gear when you get into college. So keep that momentum going in terms of challenging yourself. And then from a timeline standpoint, the things that I need in order to get an academic read are the most up-to-date transcript that you have, unofficial transcript, the classes you plan on taking your senior year. Doesn't have to be official, just classes you plan on taking. So we can look at, okay, how many APs are they taking or plan on taking? And then the third thing is an SAT or ACT score. At Holy Cross, we are test optional. So a test can help you. It cannot hurt you. But we look for those, an ACT or SAT score. Once I have those three pieces, or two if you haven't taken the test, I can get a read in terms of where you fall from an admissibility standpoint. If I got, let's say Monday is July 6th. If I got someone sent me those three things on Monday, there's a high likelihood I could have a read by Friday. So they'll turn it around pretty quick. Sometimes it might take a little longer. Sometimes it might be a day. It just kind of depends on what's cooking over in the admissions office on a week-by-week basis. And then once we have that, right, so then once we have that information, then we can talk about a potential offer, a visit, a commitment, and everyone that we commit applies via the early decision deadline, which is in November.
And so that leads me to my next question of Holy Cross. As a parent, I've got a 17-year-old that's about to go visit some colleges and whatnot. Tell us what makes Holy Cross special, and why should we be interested in Holy Cross?
Holy Cross is this perfect blend of Division I athletics, the comprehensive Division I schedule. That's one of the first things I say. If you look at, the top 30 or 40 schools in the country, a list that we're proud to be on academically, and you say, okay, which ones offer the comprehensive Division I schedule in terms of practices, number of games, all those things. We're on that list with really only a handful of other schools. You could probably count on one, maybe two hands, the number of schools that are as academic as we are and play the full 56-game schedule, the full fall season. For us at Holy Cross, it's really rare to find a school as academic as ours that is allowed to play, as many games and practice as much as a team like LSU does. The Patriot League doesn't put those type of governors or restrictions on us. Holy Cross doesn't. So we really are this perfect blend of high-end academics, but also high-end baseball. It's a small campus, one of the smallest Division I schools in the country, 3,100 students. Over 20% of our students are a Division I athlete, which is the highest percentage in America. Pretty cool to be a super academic place. You look around, about 1 out of every 4 students in your class is going to be a Division I athlete. And then we're about as familial a campus as you'll find. We're very insulated on campus. Everyone who lives off campus can walk to campus. 90% of our students are on campus all 4 years. We have students from all over the country, and tremendous athletic facilities. So when you put it all together, you're like, holy smokes, like what does this place not offer? It's a place where you can have it all. It really is. So I do think we are in this sweet spot of one of the most selective and challenging and rigorous and prestigious academic experiences in the world. And oh, by the way, we're going to compete for Patriot League championships, regional championships, and beyond on the baseball field.
You know, one of the little tidbits I want to throw out there for parents, I know this because I grew up in this area. Holy Cross actually won a national championship in Omaha in 1954. So when you start to talk about Holy Cross's legacy, not just baseball, but across all sports, football, basketball, women's basketball, they've been to not only regionals, but they played for championships up on the hill in Worcester. And so one of the things, my final question is, in today's world, Eddie, a lot of families and athletes are really nervous, and they're misunderstanding the whole 5-and-5 dynamic that is kind of on deck with regard to 2027. Can you talk a little bit about what that will mean for college rosters, particularly Holy Cross, when athletes are in that 5-and-5, 5 years of eligibility? It's really nothing different. It's just a matter of now, if there is a medical issue or an injury or things of that nature. But talk a little bit about how that will impact or won't impact your recruiting at Holy Cross.
So it won't impact our recruiting. You know, we've always been very high school heavy. I think we had 4 transfers on our roster this year. We'll have 3 next year. So we're very much high school heavy with our recruiting. We do not have graduate school at Holy Cross, which means most, if not all of our guys will have the opportunity to play for their 5th year somewhere else. So it doesn't change the recruiting front. I think it will change our jobs a little bit, where now every single senior, you know, if they want to continue playing, which I imagine all of our guys will, either professionally or get a master's degree or an MBA, hopefully paid for somewhere, you know, we'll help to connect those guys to other places. And I think, you know, we've been very fortunate that we haven't lost really many guys in the transfer portal in the last couple of years. You know, and I think that will help to continue, because now guys coming in after their sophomore, junior year might say, man, I want to play Power 4 baseball. It's like, yeah, man, you can do that. Finish your degree at Holy Cross, take care of that, and then go play Power 4 baseball if you're not drafted after your senior year, where a lot of times guys, I think in their heads, are like, man, I want the Holy Cross degree, but I also want to go play Power 4 baseball. You know, what, man, and they get kind of, you know, in this spot where it's like, man, fortunately our guys have stuck it out. But it's no doubt that that's an internal struggle at times. I know what goes on. So now it's like, yeah, man, you can have, I said at Holy Cross, you can have it all. Now you truly can have it all. You get your Holy Cross degree, and now we're going to help to get you into another school to play 5th year baseball, hopefully at a really high level, hopefully getting a fantastic academic degree, and creating just another academic network and professional network at another school. So, or if guys want to come back for their 5th year, I'll say it doesn't really make sense because we don't have grad school. But if they want to, and they want to, you know, pay for it, great. But at the same time, it probably doesn't make the most sense. So we've sent guys who are injured. You know, CJ Agri, Patriot League Player of the Year, has an extra year because he's hurt his sophomore year. He's going to UNC next year, so he'll have an opportunity to compete, you know, for a college national championship if he doesn't get drafted. So we'll see. But we've had guys play all over the country who are injured, and now we got 13 seniors. And I would say of the 13, every single one has the ability to play at a really high level next year. So in a sense, we're kind of turning into high school / junior college coaches, where we're going to help those guys get to that next level, and that just it's great. It's great. I think it's a great opportunity for us to help guys. And again, now you really can have it all while finishing the degree, and you can go play somewhere else as well.
And for my final question, it's not necessarily a question, Eddie. It's more, you know, to you as a person. You know, when a player is looking at a school, They're looking at the school, the academic aspect of it, but they're also looking at the coach. What's something that you would say as a mentor to make a family feel at ease with sending their child to play for you?
Yeah, I think I always kind of end my conversations on visits with this, because I'll talk for a long time about how great the school is academically. I'll talk about how we're going to win championships, how we're a process-oriented program, how we're going to push you. We're going to push you beyond what you think you're capable of. And we're going to set the bar here. And when you get close to touching it, I'm going to raise it a little bit higher, because I truly believe that with our, academic and athletic development, we can get you to a level that you don't even know exists right now. I really believe that, and we will get you there. But you need to want to be challenged. You can't fear failure. It will be difficult. You will get knocked down. But when you get knocked down, I promise you this, there'll be an army of people ready to pick you up, and I'll be first in line. I'll dust you off. I'll say, spit out that dirt, big boy. How'd that taste? And I'll say, Coach, that was tough, man. That was really tough. I say, it was tough. But do you remember when you sat in my office and I said, this is a part of the process and this is a prerequisite for growth and greatness? That's what this is, man. It's a speed bump. Don't let it be a roadblock. Just let it be a speed bump, and we will move forward together. And then I tell parents, as excited as I get about, raising more banners and more trophies, I promise you this, there is a triage. It's number one, each student athlete in our program, they know that my number one priority for them is their mental, physical, and emotional health. That's 1-1. Then academics, make sure that box is checked. And then we're able to really maximize our athletic development. And in order for us to maximize each one, the box before that needs to be as full as it can possibly be. So, I get really excited talking about the direction and trajectory of our program, but I want to make sure that our guys know I care about them a heck of a lot more as people than I do as players.
Parents and athletes, if you have not gathered from this discussion, not only the level of enthusiasm, but the level of passion and dedication that Coach Kahovec has to the Holy Cross program. I can tell you, I've spoken with coaches at Auburn. I've spoken to coaches at LSU. I've spoken to Texas. They all say the same thing. If it's an Eddie Kahovec coach program, they're going to be prepared and they're going to compete. And so, Eddie, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I know we're in the busy recruiting season. And Bruce, I know you're still, we're grinding through the Showball season.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to catching up with everybody, not only in Boston at Tufts, but also Little Falls and in Chicago and other places across the country. Parents, if you have the ability to sign up for the Showball, you think you have a student athlete that is academic, grounded, and focused, and has a strong desire to be the best version of themselves, both academically as well as athletically, then Showball is the place for you. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you for the kind words, Walter and Bruce. Always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you guys very soon.